The port outlet cooperation agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland would accelerate the African Union's ambition, which is enhancing regional integration and cooperation through African Continental Free Trade Area, said the senior political analyst Lawrence Freeman.
What actually we're already seeing is the movement towards regional economic integration, which is one of the goals of the African Union and of the African Free Trade Agreement. If people in the region, the citizens and leaders of the nations of the Horn of Africa and East Africa, understood better the concept of physical economy, they would realize that this is a benefit to all the people and all the nations in this region. With Ethiopia being, I would say, quote, the major economic powerhouse, increasing its trade through another area on the Gulf of Eden or Red Sea, a port development capability. This will increase trade. This will increase the throughput of products. This will increase infrastructure. All of this will help lift up the economies of all the nations in the region.
The Ethiopia-Somaliland port agreement would reduce the port rent revenue that Ethiopia pays for its import and export trade. Lawrence underscored that Ethiopia pays more than 1.5 billion USD annually for port rent.
The cost, as I understand it now, of using the port of Djibouti is $1.5 billion and possibly more. Now, that money is paid by foreign exchange. That means dollars or other, quote, internationally accepted currencies. This is a huge drain on a developing economy such as Ethiopia.
The political analyst further noted that the Ethiopia-Somaliland cooperation will manifest the real physical economic growth in the Horn of Africa.
I say physical economy because I want to make a very clear distinction between those people who claim they're economists, but all they do is measure values of stock market transactions or monetary transactions and values and speculation. I measure physical wealth. How much food is produced in a country per hectare? How much food is consumed per capita? How much energy is produced? How much energy is consumed per capita? How much rail lines, kilometers of rail lines do you have divided by the area of the country, etc.?
Lawrence further incited that the U.S. has bad policy for Africa, which couldn't appreciate any development activity in the continent. The U.S. has military capability in negotiating with Somaliland to build a military base, but denounces Ethiopia-Somaliland recent agreement.
I use the American expression called, they speak with a forked tongue, which means, in American history, they're not telling the truth. They're duplicitous. And this is the problem with American policy globally and right now, and also towards Africa, is the United States has no real good policy for Africa. There's a lot of happy talk, but they're not doing anything to raise the standard of living of Africans. So here the U.S. is in negotiations for some kind of military capability in Somaliland. Don't forget, the U.S. military is now in Somalia. They exist in Somalia. They carry out bombing attacks in Somalia. So they're invading another country. That would seem to me an infringement of sovereignty, although the Somali government supports it. And now they want to expand some kind of military capability into Somaliland. And yet they say to Ethiopia, you're infringing on the sovereignty of Somalia by having an MOU with Somaliland.